Alright guys, we're in the shop today. We're going to go from this bare shaft arrow. We're going to tune it, get everything shooting right. Then we're going to fletch her up. Alright, well, let's get this bare shaft going. Let's shoot it, see how she's flying. I got an arrow saw, a couple different inserts, a couple different weight tips, so see how it goes. You gotta be kidding me. Well, I was gonna do a bare shaft tuning video, but shooting dead straight. I've never had that happen in 6 years. What are the odds? Alright, well, since I had that little, I guess you'd call it freak luck on bare shaft tuning an arrow, I'm just going to have to show you this way how to bare shaft tune. So, you want your bare shaft arrow to look like this, perfectly straight. If your bare shaft arrow is a little to the right, as a right-hander, your arrow is too stiff, or as a left-hander, it's too weak. If your arrow is like this, knock left. As a right-hander, it's too weak. As a left-hander, it's too stiff. And so if your arrow is too stiff, you can either, basically there's only one thing to do, add weight to the front to make your arrow weaker. If your arrow's too weak, you can take away some point weight, or you can cut a little bit off your shaft length, make your shaft shorter. If you're knock high or knock low, you're just gonna have to adjust your knocking point. And this is just enough to make you dangerous. This isn't like adjusting your brace height, your tiller, different string silencers, and crazy stuff like that. This is just good enough to make you dangerous for the beginner. So, as a right-hander, too stiff, too weak. As a left-hander, too weak, too stiff. And knock high, knock low, adjust your knock. Something's hitting on your rest or your shelf. So just play with that a little bit. And that's pretty much it. And for some freak accident reason, I shot my arrow, and it was perfectly straight first try. So I shot a couple, make sure it was good, and yeah, it was. I mean, that hasn't happened to me in the 6 years I've been tuning arrows, so it's a blessing and a curse, I guess. Curse for y'all, blessing for me. So, all right, guys. All right, so here's the components I'm running right here. So we have just a brass insert, 100 grains. Scale is tared out. Now we have a whitewater archery precision tip, 151.2, and the tip and the insert together, 251.2 grains. Alright, here we go. We got the scale tared out. We're going to weigh our inserts. They should be about 100 grains. Alright, now let's see what the bare shaft weighs with just a knock on it. Alright, so just a bare shaft. I'm going to put different knocks on it, but it's literally the exact same brand of knocks. I'm just going to put the white knocks on it. But, yeah, bare shaft, 254. And then here we go. I got one with an insert and a tip in. Got the FOC pretty good. Okay, so with a tip, insert, steel bare shaft, it is 488 grains, which is perfectly fine. I still got to put a wrap, 5-inch feathers on it, and I'm only shooting 45 pounds, so it will definitely be a heavy enough arrow. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I put on wraps and fletch arrows here. So the shaft has been wiped down. Let me unscrew my insert so there's not as much weight on the end. Okay, so this shaft has been wiped down. You're going to want to wipe your shafts down with. I use either just rubbing alcohol or like the arrow shaft wipes if you want to get fancy. But yeah, you're going to need like a magazine or a mouse pad. I don't even know. A lot of people don't have mouse pads anymore. My son's got one for video games, but I like a magazine. I'm going to take my wrap, Whitewater Archery, and I do have a discount code if you want to order some Whitewater Archery wraps. You can customize these and everything. I'll leave that that link in the description for the discount. But yeah, for the wrap, I want this white part up at the top by my knock. I did switch my knock out from green to white, if you did notice that. But okay, so I'm just going to lay the wrap down right here on the magazine. Alright. And then get everything out of the way over here so your arrow can roll freely. Okay, you're just going to line it up on the magazine where you want it. Then you're just going to roll it. And it's going to stick to your arrow. I like to press down this first part right here just so I get a good seal. Then just continue to roll. And then when she's on there good, I like to just make it sealed. And that's it. That's the crest. That's the wrap. And I've never had a problem with Whitewater Archery wraps coming off. So I've been using these for 3 years now. Really like them. So yeah, that's how you wrap an arrow. Pretty easy. Now let's get to fletching. Alright, so before you even use any glue, you just want to do a dry run. There's no glue on this, and just kind of set a feather on. Make sure everything lines up right. Make sure there's no air gaps. See, like down here, there's a little bit of a gap, but it's not enough to do anything because I can just press this up when I fletch it. But yeah, that looks like a pretty good dry run right there. Make sure your knock's seated all the way down. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. A little bit goes a long way here. But you want to make sure you cover this whole bottom of the feather here. I'm not really getting a whole lot out, just kind of wetting it. You don't want a big blob on there because when you squeeze it up there, it's going to disappear. And the other thing I do is after I fletch, I do tip and tail my feathers. So I put a drop of Gorilla Glue on the tip and a drop on the tail. So I'm going to put it on there. Make sure it's seated all the way down. I just give it a nice little squeeze. Hold it for 10 seconds or so. This Gorilla Glue sets really fast. And I've never had a feather come off with Gorilla Glue. The only thing I've ever had come off with Gorilla Glue is the AAE Max plastic vanes. And those fell right off with Gorilla Glue. But once I used their whole, the wipes, the primer, and their glue, something with their plastic, it doesn't stick with Gorilla Glue. So there is that. One feather is done. Now, don't take it out like I did. I was only doing that to show you. You don't want to mess up your spot. So you put it back in, make sure it's fully seated. Twist it. You'll hear a click. That's your next spot. And you pretty much do the same thing. I line up my arrow, or my feather. My mark is right here at the 1. Your mark, everybody's mark is different, but I set that up so that when I draw my recurve and I anchor at the corner of my mouth, I use the tip of my feather as a trigger. And so when I'm ready and I think I'm right on where I want to shoot, I pull just a little bit farther, and as soon as that feather touches my nose, I release. And that's kind of my trigger. I don't use like a clicker or anything. I've also never had an archery coach, so don't listen to me if you don't want to. It just works for me. That's what I've done for years. That's how I was taught. So that's kind of what I stick with. I'm sure if I had a coach, my shooting would improve tremendously, because I know my follow-through and my release needs a lot of work. My back tension needs a lot of work, but kind of self-taught, self-instructed, kind of self-criticized and self-fixed. So I do the best I can. Yeah, I got this next one on. Just kind of give it a nice little squeeze. Don't have to wait real long. Let that hold up and set just a little bit, and there it is, fletching number 2. And I'm using right wing helical. These are 5-inch feathers. I've used as small as 2 3/4 inch feathers and get pretty good arrow flight as long as you bare shaft tune. But I just like the look of these 5 inches. I have tinkered around with trad vanes, and they're not for me. A lot of people love them, but I just like the look of feathers. Now the good thing is about trad vanes is, yeah, they're waterproof, but if you bare shaft tune and got a high FOC, heavy enough tip, it shouldn't be a problem anyways. And I try to keep my feathers dry when hunting, but that's not a big enough reason for me to switch. I mean, people have been killing animals with feathers since the beginning of time, you know. It's not like trad vanes is going to break the market and feathers are going to disappear forever, you know. I like the look of feathers. The only thing is, if you keep your feathers in a quiver and you move your bow around, I'm pretty sure that's what got me busted at the beginning of this year. Earlier deer season, opening day, I was moving my bow from between my legs to the left side of my leg so I could draw and shoot at a doe. And I don't think she seen me. I think she heard my feathers brushing against either the brush or my leg. And it is kind of loud when you do that, but trad vanes are a lot quieter for that. That's one good perk of the trad vanes, but I don't know, you can't beat the look of a pretty arrow. I mean, look at that. That's gonna look good. It's gonna be easy to pick up on film. You know, I like that a lot. You see that little helical in there? This is gonna fly great. 5-inch feathers. I'm already bare shaft tuned. I shoot a big 150 grain Woodsman broadhead that's pretty sleek in diameter, so that thing flies pretty good anyways, but I mean, Look at that. I mean, that's just beautiful. Yeah, I love feathers. Yeah, let's tip and tail this, and that's pretty much it there. This is what I'm talking about, tip and tail. So I just go to each tip. You don't want to do a lot. You just put a little drop on the tip. Little drop on the tip. Right there. You just tip it. And then what I do is, to make it dry, I'll just spin it on my fingers. That way it doesn't drip off to one side, and it just kind of wiggles around in there on the tips. And you can see that right there on the tip just a little bit. Just keeps those tips down. Got a little bit too much right there. You can kind of rub it off a little bit. But yeah, that's it right there. Now that is a pretty arrow. And then I'll do the same thing on the tail here. So I'll take this. I'll go to the tail. There's a tiny drop. Tiny, just enough to kind of get it wet. Yep, and that's it right there. Spin it a little bit. Let it move around. Wipe off the excess. And yeah, that is a pretty arrow right there.